and welcome back everyone. So today in our part 1 we will talk about Jean Rhys and her novel White Sargasso Sea, highlighting how her Caribbean heritage and personal experiences shaped her writing. It provides historical context situating the novel in post-emancipation Jamaica and the era of decolonization. The outline, its main themes of identity, alienation, gender oppression, and colonial legacy. This section also explains the significance of the title and presents key characters, offering a foundation for understanding the character of Antoinette Cosway's tragic life and transformation. Let's talk about first Jean Rhys. Jean Rhys, known by her pen name Jean Rhys, was born in 1890 in Dominica, a British colony, to a Welsh father and a Creole mother of Scottish descent. Sent to England at 16 years old to study acting, she faced discrimination for her Caribbean accent and heritage, which hindered her stage career. After years of hardship, including poverty and failed relationships, she turned to writing. Encouraged by novelist Ford Madox, who also became her mentor, she adopted the name Jean Rhys and began publishing fiction, exploring the themes of alienation, gender, and displacement. Her major novels of the 1930s include After Leaving Mr. Mackenzie, Voyage in the Dark, and Good Morning, Midnight, reflected her own struggles and marginalization. However, her lasting recognition came with the publication of the novel White Sargasso Sea in 1966, which reimagined the story of Bertha Mason from Jane Eyre and established Rhys as a leading voice in post-colonial literature. She remained a significant literary figure until her death in 1979 in England. Let's talk about the novel. Jean Rhys's novel White Sargasso Sea 1966 is a landmark of post-colonial literature that revisits and reinterprets the canonical narrative of Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre from the perspective of Bertha Mason, the so-called madwomen in the attic. Set in the Caribbean during the early 19th century, the novel foregrounds the experiences of Antoinette Cosway, a Creole heiress grappling with issues of identity, displacement, and marginalization in the aftermath of slavery and colonial domination. Through its richly layered narrative divided into 3 distinct perspectives, the novel explores the complex interplay of race, gender, culture, and power, offering an inclusive critique of European colonialism and patriarchal oppression. Her work not only illuminates the psychological and social consequences of post-emancipation Caribbean society, but it also gives voice to characters historically silenced in colonial literature, making White Sargasso Sea a powerful exploration of alienation, cultural hybridity, and the enduring legacies of colonialism. Let's talk about the historical background of the novel. White Sargasso Sea, which takes place in colonized Jamaica and deals with problems of identity and inequality that arose as a result of French and British colonization in the Caribbean, it was completed and published during an era of widespread decolonization. The 1960s in particularly saw many gains in political independence among the British colonies in the Caribbean, including Jamaica and Tobago, which achieved independence from Britain in 1962, followed by Barbados in 1966, the year White Sargasso Sea was published. The issues of conflicted cultural identity and alienation that Antoinette and Jamaican society at large face in the wake of emancipation from slavery in White Sargasso Sea mirror many of the issues these newly independent nations faced in their time. Jean Rhys wrote during the rise of feminism. She began her career in the era of first-wave feminism, which fought for women's legal rights, such as property ownership and suffrage. The novel highlights these gender inequalities through the character of Annette and Antoinette's dependent on men, and Christophene's criticism of laws restricting women's financial freedom. By the time the novel White Sargasso appeared, second wave feminism had begun, addressing social and domestic inequalities, the issues mirrored in the novel's portrayal of marriage, gender role, and the limited autonomy of women in both colonial and patriarchal systems. The title of the novel, White Sargasso Sea, holds a deep symbolic significance, reflecting the novel's central themes of cultural displacement, psychological trauma, and entrapment. The wide expanse of the Sargasso Sea symbolizes the profound cultural and emotional distance between Antoniette and Rochester, as well as the broader divide between the Caribbean and England. Known for its calm, windless waters where ships become entrapped in seaweed, the Sargasso Sea serves as a metaphor for the characters' sense of being lost and confined by their histories, identities, and circumstances. It also underscores the unstable mixture of cultures and colonial legacies that define Antoniette and Rochester's worlds, while simultaneously mirroring Antoniette's disoriented and fragmented psychological states, foreshadowing her tragic fate as a lost ship within the entangled currents of post-colonial oppression and personal alienation. Let's talk about the major characters of the novel. Number one is Antoniette Cosway. The protagonist and partial narrator of the novel, she is Creole, a person of European descent born in the Caribbean. Throughout the novel, her relationships with others are marked by alienation, exclusion, and cruelty, so that she consistently seeks solace in the natural world. She watches her family home burned by the ground by a mob of disenfranchised former slaves and witnesses her mother's descent into madness as a result. She is married to an Englishman she barely knows for his financial benefit. After a disastrous honeymoon, her husband finally locks her away in his attic, from which her only escape is suicide. The next character is the character of the husband. Though the husband is never named in the novel, Antoniette Cosway's husband is understood to be Jane Eyre's Mr. Rochester, an English gentleman. The husband is deeply disoriented, even disturbed by the Jamaican landscape and culture, and he sees Antoniette as emblematic of both. Though he experiences a short period of passion with Antoniette during their honeymoon, his feelings of distrust and animosity eventually outweigh his love, so that he ends up imprisoning her in the attic of his English manor. Next character is the character of Christophine. Antoniette's nurse, Christophine, is respected and feared among blacks and whites alike. She is a practitioner of Obeah, which both accounts for her power over others and ultimately gets her in trouble with the law, rendering her powerless to help Antoniette. Other than the landscape, Christophine is the only real constant in Antoniette's life, until she too abandons her to her fate with the husband. Next character is the character of Annette, the Antoniette's mother. She is a widow at the start of the novel, sunk into debt after the death of her husband. Her relationship with Antoniette is distant, owing partially to her preoccupation with her sick, mentally handicapped son Pierre. She marries a rich man, namely Mr. Mason, in order to save her family from destitution in the wake of emancipation, and she goes mad with grief as a result of the destruction brought about partially by his failure to listen to her warnings about the anger of the black residents at his shows of wealth. Next character is the character of Mr. Mason, Annette's second husband and Antoniette's second father. He is an Englishman who, like the husband, seems incapable of understanding Jamaican culture. He ignores Annette's warnings of the danger presented by the nearby village of disgruntled former slaves, preferring to view them as benign children. As a result, he is unprepared when the villagers burn down the colibri. Daniel Cosway, possibly the half-brother of Antoniette through an illicit affair between her father, Old Cosway, and one of his slaves. Daniel Cosway is deeply embittered by his exclusion from the Cosway fortune. He writes to the husband of Antoniette informing him of the madness that runs in Antoniette's family and attempts to blackmail him. Daniel Cosway is obsessed with gaining vengeance and for his disenfranchised and marginalized existence, for which he holds Antoniette and her family responsible. Grace Poole, Antoniette's caretaker in the husband's manor in England. Grace Poole is paid handsomely for her discretion, which she maintains despite her misgivings regarding the husband's treatment of Antoniette. A partial narrator in part 3 of the novel, she often drinks to excess and falls asleep, allowing Antoniette to steal her key and roam the rest of the house. Let's move to the summary of the novel. Jean Rhys's White Sargasso Sea is a prequel of Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre that gives voice to the silenced figure of Bertha Mason, the mad woman in the attic. The novel is set in post-emancipation Jamaica and follows the tragic life of Antoniette Cosway, a Creole woman of European descent. The novel is divided into 3 parts, each narrated by different voices, that together reveal her descent into madness and her transformation into the figure known as Bertha. Part 1, Antoniette's childhood and the fall of Colibri. Antoniette Cosway recalls her childhood at Colibri Estate in Jamaica during the 1830s, shortly after the Emancipation Act of 1833, which freed enslaved Africans in the British colony. Her family, her mother Annette and her younger brother Pierre, who is mentally disabled, live in isolation and poverty after her father's death, shunned by both the white colonials and freed black population. They become victims of hostility and resentment. Annette's mental health deteriorates as she grows paranoid and withdrawn, while Antoniette finds solace in the natural world and in the company of her nurse Christophine. Her brief friendship with a local girl, Tia, ends in betrayal, highlighting the racial and social divide between them. Annette later marries Mr. Mason, a wealthy Englishman who renovates Colibri and flaunts his fortune, provoking locals' anger. Despite Annette's warning, he ignores the villagers' resentment, leading to tragedy when a mob sets fire to the estate. Pierre dies and Annette loses her sanctity, confined to a home where Antoniette later finds her delusion and unrecognizable. She was sent to a convent school. Antoniette grew up lonely and displaced, haunted by dreams of a man, leading her towards an unknown fate. After the death of her mother, Mr. Mason removes her from the convent, hinting that a marriage has been arranged for her. Let's move to the part 2, marriage, betrayal, and loss of identity. Told from the viewpoint of Antoniette's English husband, this section takes place during their honeymoon, a secluded estate in Dominica. The unnamed husband feels uneasy in the strange tropical environment and alienated by the island's language and culture. His relationship with Antoniette, initially passionate, soon becomes strained by his growing distrust. He receives a letter from the brother Daniel Cosway claiming to be Antoniette's illegitimate half-brother, warning that madness runs in the family. The husband becomes emotionally distant and begins to view his wife as unstable and deceitful. When Antoniette senses his withdrawal, she turns to Christophine, begging her to make him love her again. Antoniette gives her husband a potion, but he interprets it as an act of deceit. His resentment leads him to sleep with Emile, a servant, while Antoniette listens in anguish from the next room. The betrayal drives her further into despair when Christophine confronts him. He threatens to expose her for practicing Obiha, the magic. The husband begins calling Antoniette Bertha, stripping away her name and the identity. Let's move to the part 3. The imprisonment and madness in England. Now narrated partly by Grace Poole, the section reveals that Antoniette is imprisoned in the attic of her husband's English mansion. Grace, her caretaker, is disturbed by the cruel arrangement but tolerates it for the high pay. Antoniette, isolated and confused, no longer recognizes her when she is or how much time she has spent here. She roams the house at night after stealing Grace Poole's keys and struggles to distinguish between memory and hallucinations. Grace tells her that she attacked her stepbrother Richard Mason during his visit. though Antoniette has no recollection of it, showing her fractured state of mind. Haunted by recurring dreams of fire and flight, Antoniette finally envisions herself setting the house ablaze. In this dream, she carries a candle, watches the flames rise, and recalls the burning of Colibri, linking her past and present traumas. As she hears her husband's voice calling her, she leaps to her death, completing her transformation into the mad woman in the attic. The ending is ambiguous, part dream, part reality, but it signifies her final act of resistance and release from captivity. That is all for today. I will see you all in the next lecture. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.